Recorded at the St. Brigid Centre for the Arts, located here in Ottawa's Lower Town. This is the St. Brigid Sessions. The St. Brigid Centre for the Arts is housed at St. Brigid's, a former Catholic church built in 1890 and located at 310 St. Patrick Street. St. Brigid Sessions are brought to you by Brigid's Well, a pub located here in the basement of St. Brigid's and accessible by the entrance on Cumberland Street. Brigid's Well opens at 4 p.m. Wednesday through Sunday. My name is Stephen Neale, and our guest today on the sessions is Jim Bryson. You're very welcome to the St. Brigid Sessions.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, how about we begin? We play a couple songs, and we'll come back and have a little chat.
Sounds great.
All right.
Here we go. Went to the forest to live with the trees, but I didn't like the weather, how the cold blew through me like a shaken sheet. So I went back inside, I went straight back inside to look for a place that made more sense to me. I carried the weight of the world around, I carried the weight of the world around, I carried the weight everywhere I went, by air, by land, by car, by sea. I woke every morning at the break of day, but the fog surrounded and did its best to bury the best of me. I stood there for so long, I stood there for so goddamn long. I could feel the roots start growing, they were going into the floors. So I carried the weight of the world around, I carried the weight of the world around, I carried the weight everywhere I went, by air, by rail, by car, by sea. I carried the weight of the world on my back, I carried the weight of the world around, I carried the weight everywhere I went, by air, by rail, by car, by sea. I carried the weight. I carried the weight. I carried the weight. I carried the weight. Summer was around us. We visited your parents and drank all of their liquor. I talked and interrupted dinner, 'cause I thought that you and me, it seemed, we had it all. Soon it was September. I knew we couldn't wait forever. I was back to doing dishes, riding back and forth on buses, raking all the leaves and changing with the changing scenery. It became you against me instead of you and me against the world, as the world nears the end of another day. The days turned to December. You were back there with your parents, drinking all their liquor, staring into another winter, far from the days of you and me, having it all. We had it all. It became you against me instead of you and me against the world, as the world nears the end of another day. It became you against me instead of you and me against the world, as the world nears the end of another day.
Jim Bryson here on the St. Brigid Sessions here on CKCU FM, and two songs from your record that's come out in the past few months called Somewhere We Will Find Our Place.
That's correct.
And
I hope we will.
I do. Well, I think we all do at times. And are you getting closer to finding your place, do you think?
I don't know. Some days I think I'm right there, and then, it's like I'm right back in the soup. I thought the first song was fitting to play because we were talking about Catholic guilt a little earlier, and I think that whole song is sort of just about carrying everything with you and not finding this way to let go. So, and I think all of our goals, anywhere we are, I would think most of us, is just to feel good within ourselves and.
And that first song is, of course, Depression Dance,
yeah,
which is the opening track to the new record, too.
Yeah, it's a dance sensation.
Yes.
About to catch on.
Well, actually, you mentioned that it is a dance sensation, but one thing that we try to do here with the St. Brigid Sessions, obviously, is take advantage of kind of marrying good songs and with the natural sound and the gorgeous sound that is in here. And when you wrote that song, without getting therapeutic about discussing the song, but when you wrote the song, did you write it on first the acoustic guitar and then?
Yeah, I wrote it to be kind of to have tempo to it and have this feel, but I wrote it in a way that it was very sort of it wasn't super visceral or anything. And then when we went in to record it, the producer, who's a fellow named Charles Spearin from a band called Do Make Say Think, he sort of turned the song, did a bit of a pancake on it and got this whole crazy, almost, it almost has elements of, kind of Afro beat and stuff in the way the grooves, and there's tape delay on the hi-hats and all this sort of stuff that you do to create more of a groove-based song. And really it kind of just, it started as a very plaintive sort of song that would have a little bit, I always wanted to have a beat, but I didn't really expect it to be the way it became. And then it's nice to do it like this because it kind of comes back to how it started. And even it's weird because when I recorded the song, from when we recorded it to when I recorded the vocals for it a little bit later, I changed most of the lyrics I had a completed song and then I'd never really liked the chorus, so I changed the chorus, and the only thing that remains is the first verse from that song.
And why did you change the lyrics? Were they improvement, or did you change them as a result of hearing the new sort of sound or the beat for?
Yeah, I think also I started to kind of connect with more of how the song was speaking to me about. I liked it, the irony or whatever of it being, having this sort of grandiose sonics to it, and for the message to be much more conversational. And so the more I changed it, the more it became more conversational versus the chorus. It sort of had a repeated phrase, but the repeated phrase also confused Charles. He's like, I don't really understand where the song is going in the chorus from where you are in the verse. Because I kind of wrote it about a neighbor of mine who initially, and then I changed it to be more about personal circumstances and personal thoughts and things like that.
I was going to ask you, but I think I heard the answer maybe to the question while you were explaining it. Did you resist the transformation to the song? I mean,
No.
You ended up rewriting lyrics.
I brought it in so that somebody could, do what they wanted with it. I mean, there's some songs that I record that I really have an idea of what they want to be. Mm-hmm. And there's some songs when I bring them to somebody that I've sort of collaborated with, I'm bringing them to them because I want the song to sort of take a new life and become something, and not be what it is. So,
and this record that you've put out is your fifth.
Yeah.
And you've been performing here in Ottawa for many years. Started way back with Punch Buggy.
Oh yes.
Yes. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, 1994.
Going to those shows. Yes.
Yeah.
And
it actually started in 1989 with a band. With my friend Andy Miller, who lives in Halifax, a band called Go Figure. We'd had it in summers of university, and then our thing we never had any shows that weren't in the summer, and we played a show with the Smashing Pumpkins at Barrymore's that there were about 12 people at. I remember that, and we just do opening slots and go to Montreal and play or whatever in a bar.
And then after Punch Buggy, you started releasing solo records with a band, you referred to it as the Occasionals.
Yeah.
And one thing I read recently in the release of this new record too was, I think it was in an article in Exclaim, where you said you've never been more casual, never been more serious about music, but never more casual as well.
Yeah.
And can you explain that a little bit? Can you?
Well, I just feel that I've never, I take what I create very seriously, like it's not a joke to me, but at the same time, I feel that the longer I do it, the more I just sort of do it. I mean, my expectations alter. There's only so much disappointment the brain can take. No, I'm just teasing, but I think it is sort of that kind of concept of that the longer you play music and the more you feel good in your own skin, everything is just an extension of your personality. It's not like I don't have a character that I'm playing or anything like that. I mean, it'd be different if I had some kind of, character that my music was, like if I had a whole persona, but it's sort of exactly the same when I come on as when I go off stage. And so I'm not I just feel that I take it very seriously and want to do all the things I can do with it as far as playing shows and traveling and trying to go to new places I've never been. But at the same time, I also don't sweat it as much.
Right.
But I'm very demanding, of myself and of people that I professionally work with, as far as taking it seriously as well, because it's it's finite. The older you get, the more finite you feel about your time, and so you don't want time to be wasted, and you don't want people to be working with you if it's going to waste your time or waste their time. So yeah.
I know that feeling sometimes. To just remind people that they are listening to the St. Brigid Sessions, recorded here at the St. Brigid Centre for the Arts and broadcast on CKCU 93.1 FM. St. Brigid Sessions are brought to you by Brigid's Well, a pub located in the basement of St. Brigid's. My name is Stephen Neale, and our guest today is Jim Bryson. And how about, we've done a bit of talking here, so how about we play a couple more songs and come back and chat a little more?
All right, sounds good. Find your way back over to me, over the hills, across the seas. I'll bring the wine and for clarity we'll share all of their secrets. We'll hide from the heat and the summer swell and read magazines that you know so well and drift through the days in and out of sleep. When I was young I thought we'd be out in the world exploring the seas. Now you're on a lake that I barely get to and barely get to see. Separated by traffic, 1, 2, 3. Separated by a world where nobody talks and no one ever stops to breathe. Breathe. Do I miss you now more than I've ever known? Is it too late? Have we gone and grown bored? Is this what we even wanted to be? Two worlds apart, still anchored. So won't you find your way back over to me, over the hills, across the trees. I'll bring the wine and the kerosene. When I was young I thought we'd be out in the world exploring the seas. Now you're on a lake that I barely get to and barely get to see. Separated by traffic, 1, 2, 3. Separated by a world where nobody talks and no one ever stops to breathe. I see no one stop to breathe. I see no one stop to breathe, to breathe. so interesting doing this kind of show, because normally I talk so much during a show that would have taken me an hour to play this many songs. But here we are. The song called Decidedly. All the coniferous trees that bend in the wind. If I could, I'd run around, put it back together again. And all that was discouraging me, I did not know when it began. I would drive into town each day but not do a thing. But I did not complain, and I will not today, 'cause I got my little hurricane. All the deciduous trees, they're blowing in the wind. Why would you ever grow leaves just to watch them fall off again? I did not know what to believe, and I did not know where to begin. I went outside, but I just did not much of anything. But I did not complain, and I will not today, 'cause I got my little hurricane. But I did not complain, oh no, not today. Hey, I did not know what to believe, and I did not know where to begin. I would drive into town each day but not do a thing, and all the people would see, they're blowing in the wind. They'd never want to stand up, 'cause they'll just sit right back down again. Why would you ever grow leaves just to watch them fall off again? Why would you ever grow leaves just to watch them fall off again? Why would you ever grow leaves just to watch them fall off again? Off again, off again.
Jim Bryson here on the St. Brigid Sessions. That was a song, Decidedly, and that's an older song. What record was that off of again, if you remember?
It's off a record called Falcon Lake Incident.
Oh, yeah, okay.
from October 19th, 2010. I know what day it is because it's my daughter's birthday.
Oh, very nice.
And who would put a record out on one of their kids' birthdays so they could ensure that they wouldn't be home? But that's the story.
Yes. And that was, and then the song before we heard was from your new record called Breathe.
Yeah.
Not the record's not called Breathe, but the song was called Breathe. Both sort of up-tempo, and Breathe always reminds me, and it reminds Joe Riley too, from CKCU, of Breathe. The song reminds us of New Order.
Oh, good.
And you have there's a few other songs from your past that have that kind of that bright New Order feel to it at times. Were they a big influence?
Well,
in some way, or?
I know people who listen to a lot more New Order than me, but I really connected with a New Order record called Brotherhood.
Right.
And I really connected with sort of just the way that the songs bounced along and kind of the speak singing that Bernard did.
Summers, yeah.
Summers? Is it Summers or Sumner
yeah.
or something like that? Yeah, Bernard Summers. I really just connected with his sort of presentation of things, and I have their records. Like I would say most of their records, but that's the one I sort of really connected with, and I always think about. It's weird. Music is an interesting thing because you sort of carry this thought of what a band is or something in your mind, and that sort of sound of theirs. So, I have this internal sort of thing about what New Order means to me, and then also, I like doing that ooh that he always did too. So I've definitely stolen that from him.
Oh yeah, but it's a great. If you're going to steal something, you might as well steal that. How? Not your influences per se, but how has there been songwriters that have influenced your songwriting? And I guess, because I'm curious about how you think you've changed as a songwriter over time.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that songwriters per se don't influence me as much now as when I was younger, and I guess I was mildly more chameleonic, I guess, with sort of, you'd hear something and absorb it. I still definitely do a thing where I hear songs and think, I'd really like a song that's like that. And then I try to write a song that sort of is similar to a song I've heard that I've really enjoyed, And I guess, that's an age-old concept of borrowing, of appropriation. But I think the more I do it, the less I'm influenced necessarily by music and more by just sort of, like I said, just this sort of impression I have in my head of certain music or certain things. And then I still think that playing music is sort of like this game of pretend. Like when I was a kid and I'd have a tennis racket in front of a mirror, I still feel that sort of, I still play in front of mirrors and stuff like that. Just like I'm vain enough that I like to see how guitars look. And
I look at my fingers.
I stare in mirrors and look at my hands.
Yeah.
In the mirror. Yeah. I look how my hands are moving and all that. And so I still have that, there still is that element of it's sort of like even though I just wear the same clothes, it's sort of like this game of dress up, it's like you take on something even though I don't really feel I'm taking on much other than that. And probably more conversational in music and in a show than I would normally be in a normal situation. I don't sit around and have these like revealing conversations with friends very often, but I have revealing like conversations with audiences.
Yes, well, we noticed that you made a reference just in between the last two songs that it would take you 5 or an hour to play 5 songs because you do, I know, well, exaggeration for sure, but you do like to talk during your shows. And who are you talking with, though? Are you talking with the audience or are you with yourself?
Well, I think I'm talking with myself. I think I just like this. I sort of get up and it feels like it's just sort of an exhale. Like there's nothing I get that feeling from a musical show that goes well. I don't have anything else in my life that makes me feel that way. That's not a prescription. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm rattling here, but
do you know what I mean, though? I mean, there's something about creativity, and there's something about a live performance or I'm sure actors feel the same way, but you get this buzz. It's really hard to sort of pinpoint what it is. I mean, it's endorphins and it's all that stuff. It's the same thing I used to get when I go running, and all of a sudden I have this energy. Well, after a show I have all this energy, and right before shows I get really, really sullen, and I get really insecure, and I get really like, it's almost like I need to be so I can kind of come out and be a metaphoric ball shot out of a cannon, even though I come out and I like sing and stuff like that. But emotionally I feel like right before a show is when I'm at my most vulnerable, because I feel really like I'm self-examining and I'm doubting sets, and I'm like, I'm going through all the possible like pitfalls basically. And then once I get going, I start to get going on a roll, and it all sort of, by the end of the show, like the person I am that I was before the show, it's weird. It's hard to connect this side of the pancake with this side of the pancake sometimes. And that's sort of my eternal search.
Well, no, I absolutely get it, in the sense that I have some of my own little quirks when I do my radio show, and which this is part of, but I'm pacing the halls, just not rapidly, but I'm burning off a lot of nervous energy, and I'm worried about a certain way I've structured certain sets, and then once you get there, it's okay,
going,
it's all good. All right, this is good.
Yeah, it's funny, like I have very little time for like small talk and just casual conversations before I play, because I don't really want to, like, I've played shows before where people have walked out and they've said like the absolute worst thing to me right before I start playing. Like they'll say something like, "Oh my God, I don't think people know who you are here," or they'll say something. I mean, that doesn't bother me, but there's certain things that I just sort of, that's about as much of a diva as I can be, is that I sort of separate myself right before going on, so I can kind of feel that kind of like loneliness and stuff before I come shooting out of a cannon.
Yes, I was thinking, you're making me think of all kinds of strange imagery with that, with that shooting out of the cannon thing.
But, like Evel Knievel and stuff, right?
Yes, that's, and
imagine how Evel Knievel felt right before he tried to jump the Grand Canyon, knowing he wasn't going to make it to the other side.
Yeah, and it wasn't even close, from what I recall. But how about, we are running out of time. Yeah, we could, because we're on stage, we could talk for
the cameramen are giving me the stink eye. You know
Yes.
what? It's not their show, it's our show.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
So we're running out of digital
The diva
things,
camera
but-
people are like, they're looking at watches they don't even have.
But how about we'll play
Sure.
one more song, and then
Sounds
we'll
good.
come back and wrap it up. What are we going to hear?
We're going to hear a song called Ontario.
Appropriate.
Right on.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Call to arms, oh I ask, oh please, for more books and conversation and less satellite TV. Fear God, be good, don't cut down all the trees just to build more things that we don't need. I say, oh my dear Ontario, oh my cherished home, they say such awful things about you when it is I roam. And oh my dear Ontario, can I say how unlucky and in love live from each other not far away. Don't bruise the ones you love, let be live free. Don't go out in the woods on your own. A call to arms, oh I ask, oh please, why must we always be wanting so much more? I say, oh my dear Ontario, oh my cherished home. They say such awful things about you when it is our own. And oh my dear Ontario, can I say how unlucky and in love live from each other not far away. And oh my dear Ontario, oh my cherished home. They say such awful things about you when it is our own. And oh my dear Ontario, can I say how unlucky and in love live from each other not far away.
Jim Bryson here on the St. Brigid's Sessions, and we've heard 5 songs from you today, and 4 of which are from your new record, Somewhere We Will Find Our Place. Just want to thank you so much for coming in here.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for having me.
It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You've been listening to the St. Brigid's Sessions recorded here at St. Brigid's Centre for the Arts, located in Ottawa's Lower Town. Our performer, as I've mentioned, has been Jim Bryson, and I'm your host, Stephen Neale. I'd just like to take this time, though, to thank our production team of David Bignell on sound, Robert Patterson, Jason Leroux on video, Jose Robillard, Patricia Trail, and Mike Tick Houston on photography, and our stagehand, Liam Tyrrell. The St. Brigid's Sessions are brought to you by Brigid's Well, a pub that's located right here in the basement of this church. How about that, eh? That's great.
Right on.
And it's accessible by the entrance on Cumberland Street. Brigid's Well opens at 4 p.m. Wednesday through Sunday. Thank you for listening.